Agent Orange is a herbicide and defoliant, meaning it kills plants. It sounds relatively harmless, unless you are a plant. Unfortunately, that is not the case. It has now been shown that exposure to Agent Orange, more specifically dioxin, which is found in Agent Orange, caused a wide range of cancers to those exposed and birth defects to the children born from exposed parents. Agent Orange was sprayed over the forests of Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos during the Vietnam War under a program known as Operation Ranch Hand. Approximately 20 million gallons were sprayed between 1962 and 1971 over an area about the size of New Jersey. Agent Orange was sprayed by planes, helicopters, trucks, boats, and backpack sprayers. The servicemen spraying this herbicide were not given any protective gear and were told that the chemicals were safe. For the Vietnamese people, Agent Orange was raining down on them, their forests, their crops, and was getting into their water supply. Agent Orange was manufactured in the United States by 9 chemical companies, one of whom was Diamond Shamrock, located here in Newark, New Jersey, at 80 and 120 Lister Avenue. Workers that were employed in the production of these chemicals and residents that lived near the plants where careless practices allowed contaminants to spill onto the factory floors and where contaminants were dumped into the river suffered exposure, as was the case here in Newark. There have been several lawsuits as a result of Agent Orange exposure. In the early 1980s, a large class action suit was brought by a group of veterans. A class action suit is where there are a large number of plaintiffs, means injured parties, suing the same group of defendants for the same or similar injuries. Since there are a large number, they are joined together as a class. This type of lawsuit is common when plaintiffs are alleging personal injuries from a harmful product or from actions by the defendant that made the products harmful. In the case of dangerous chemicals, these fall under an area of law known as toxic torts. A tort is a civil wrong, where the plaintiff is seeking monetary damages. The defendant chemical companies settled the lawsuit with the veterans, agreeing to pay $180 million. It was the largest tort law settlement at the time. Only if the veterans agreed to drop the case without the chemical companies admitting any wrongdoing. The lawyers agreed to the settlement, but most veterans were not happy about it, since there never was a trial, and the amount that each veteran wound up receiving was not very much. In 2004, a second lawsuit was brought by VAVA, V-A-V-A, which stands for Vietnam Association of Victims of Agent Orange. This class action suit against the chemical companies alleged that the use of Agent Orange violated the 1907 Hague Convention, the 1925 Geneva Protocols, and the 1949 Geneva Conventions, all of which are international treaties that govern warfare. The same judge that presided over the veterans' case dismissed the Vietnamese citizens' case on the ground that Agent Orange and other herbicides sprayed were to defoliate the forest and were designed to kill plants, not people. Any side effects were inadvertent. The third lawsuit, involving Diamond Shamrock, the plant in Newark, settled for $1 million to be distributed to the 72 remaining plaintiffs and about 28 others who had cases pending appeal. The Newark site had been declared a Superfund site in 1983 by the EPA when dioxin levels of 50,000 parts per billion were found at the site. The settlement was a disappointment to the plaintiffs in that no punitive damages were awarded and the defendants did not admit any liability, meaning that they did nothing wrong. The cleanup in Newark continues. Although the land cleanup has been completed, the land is still not usable. Unfortunately, the river has only been partially cleaned. A 17-mile stretch of sediment was contaminated, and only an 8.3-mile stretch is being worked on. These cases are important for future cases of chemical litigations, since they were brought by very different types of plaintiffs. They have paved the way for many lawsuits based on careless or reckless behavior on the parts of companies that have resulted in personal injuries, but the damage to the people and the environment continues. When companies can merely pay out money without claiming any fault, they will continue to behave in the same way and consider these settlements a cost of doing business.